Alrighty everyone, hello, and welcome back to another episode of my nonsense, and definitely also B-Lock's nonsense, who is just hoobling and doobling up there. B-Lock being my pigeon. As you can see, it's kind of a Friday vibe, and instead of my typical energy drink, we've got a Friday drink. As of my time recording this, it is officially October, it is officially spooky season, and I'm here today with a really interesting topic that honestly I had to recruit a good friend of mine to help me talk about with. That friend is Lucas, or the Devil's Advocate. You can find him all over on TikTok as well as Instagram. And he is a more, I would say, ceremonial magician, working with some really interesting traditions there, and has a lot of knowledge about grimoire magic and other things. And so talking to him is always a fun time. With that said, this is going to be, I guess, more of a podcast style interview, where it's just kind of our conversation revolving around the topic of, is intention truly everything in magic? We're exploring that question today, but before we begin, again, hello, my name is Sarah Streisand, and I'm a Christian witch content creator, writer, educator, specifically a writer of this book right here, Discovering Christian Witchcraft. I have retrieved my pigeon from where he's not supposed to be. Obviously. And so if you were wondering to yourself, like, what exactly the term Christian witch meant when I said that, by all means, check out this book. It is a one-stop shop discussing the Bible verses people normally think of when they think of witchcraft, discussing, biblical and then post-biblical traditions, right? So, like, in the 2,000 years since the Bible left off, and a lot of folk magic, a lot of, like, starter tips, all that other kind of great stuff. You find it all right here, and remember, we are releasing the sequel this December, so get ready for that as well. And if you are new here, again, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, because we do post a video here every Friday on different topics on theology, magic, and everything else like that. And if you are not new here, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again. And remember, to all of you, that if you want to see these videos 2 weeks early and ad-free, all you gotta do is head over to my Patreon, where I post these videos and a lot of other stuff. Anyway, I'm about to get my Friday on, so as that happens, by all means, enjoy this wonderful conversation between Lucas and I, and tell me in the comments what you think about whether or not intention really is everything in magic. Thoughts. Focusing. Sorry, hello? Oh, yes. So a lot of people, they come out here and they say that intention is all you need, and then they just kind of, I don't know, start throwing whatever ingredients they have around. And as someone who does, like, the actual ceremonial grimoire type stuff, where it is very specific and you need X, Y, and Z and all, like, in the right spot on the right day at the right time, where are you coming from on that angle?
On the, is intention everything?
Yeah.
I'll never tell someone that if intention alone works for them, that it's not valid, right? I think that's totally viable if it sees results. I think the context is important, right? I think the context matters of the certain type of ritual, of the goal in mind. For the most part, I tend not to subscribe to intention is all you need, though I don't have a problem with it. That's where I stand with it. And I have that thought because, especially with where I kind of put my focus on, which is the grimoire tradition, or even loose understandings of just the Western traditions in general, with them being so based in the sort of like Catholic Byzantine style influence, especially with ceremonial magic and the grimoire tradition, hierarchy is so important, right? And there's that idea of, like, knowledge is power, right? The reason for these huge invocations that are like a page long, from what I found in my studies and personal time, they're kind of like a sort of rite of passage. And what I mean by that is to say, hey, by saying this thing that has so many details, I've got your number, Spirit. I know who you are. I've done my research. I have the right now to call on you because I have educated myself about who you are and what you do, and I have given reverence and respect. Now, where does that tie into not intuition, or does that tie into intention? With intention, it's very important, right, to have that sort of intention for what you need. If you don't have an intention, you don't have a spell, right? But it's about the type of spell that you want to bring in. So like if someone's doing like, hey, I need a finance money spell, and if they want to just throw a candle together with maybe a sigil they've got on hand, that's fine, right? But if I'm trying to get a life-changing career in something that I absolutely want, you're going to want to bring out some big guns for that, right? I'd say that the more intense of the intention, the more supplements that there's going to need to be. That's kind of how I operate, because intention alone is not going to bring that full manifestation that the grimoires try and bring to the table. Because that's a very big part of that grimoire tradition, is sort of making a space and making oneself so consecrated and so venerated and so purified, as we may say, under the guise and contracts of God and the angels, that it's like a miracle in itself to have that power to bring an infernal or angelic essence into physical being, right? And even though that's... What's up?
No, okay. I understand, because I was like, see, hold on, before I let you continue. For me, it's like,
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, but I was like, I feel like you're saying the stuff that I was thinking, but I was just thinking of it like in different language, but it's the same idea. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. So there's that beauty in like bringing a spirit to physical form into the material world, which Jason Miller has called spiritual fracking, almost kind of like a forceful thing. And at first I agree, but after some personal experience, I don't think it is. I really don't agree with that, because of the fact that, and you can see an example of this in like the, it's a little bit more of a more modern grimoire in the context of the tradition. But if you look at like the Red Dragon, there's the beginning where Lucifer has a whole page that he signed, and Lucifer Tropical has a page that he signed with the story of the conjurer of the book, saying, I agree to come and be present and appear when these words are said, when these specific things are said, right? So it's going to be about the amount of mechanics that one needs to do or wants to do for their spell. You don't have to do the full grimoire tradition if you want to connect with Lucifer Tropical. It's going to be about the intensity of how you want to connect with those entities. And if I'm straying too far away from the point, please feel free to jump in and be like, let's come back to the center there. But I've found, and the same with other things, and we should keep in mind that most of my work, when it comes to spell work and when it comes to magic, deals a lot with spirit conjuring, spirit communication, spirit, I don't want to say mediumship, because I don't really think they like talk through me very often, but like I would almost call it like a contractor, like I'm doing contract work with spirits and demons and such. So that's where I've been coming from, and not everyone's going to be coming from that direction. When you asked me about this, I actually thought about like painting it in a way that'll make sense, in like a mundane point of view. So think of like if someone wants to make a comic strip versus if they want to make a TV show, right? If you're going to make a nice little doodle, a comic strip, like let's take an episode of SpongeBob. Why not? No specific episode. Just think SpongeBob for a second. Right. So Steven Hillenburg had this idea of a little spongy guy, and he does cool little things, right? He could have made that into a comic strip for maybe a local newspaper, or maybe for a blog or something like that, where it's all him. He does the drawings, he makes the little air bubbles, and that intention has definitely solidified that SpongeBob episode story, maybe in a small way, like a 3-panel or a 6-panel. But that's on a small scale, right? Steven Hillenburg decided to make a show out of it, right? A whole show that can go worldwide, something that's actually, well, not actually, that sounds like it undermines the other one, but something that'll be a little more hard-hitting in the sphere of influence, right? Well, I guess someone could make a TV show all by themselves, But that's going to take a lot of work. So what did he do? He got contracts with Nickelodeon. He got people to come in and do the animations and do the voice acting and do the sound mixing and all this other stuff. And then of course once the episode was done, it was broadcasted throughout multiple airwaves. And I feel like one could take that kind of duality and apply it to different types of magic. You have a more basic spell that needs to get done what needs to get done, bing, bang, boom, it's finished, right? And maybe intention is all you need for those kinds. And an intention is all you need could even just be a tool to do a more basic ceremonial thing. But if you want to do a hard-hitting, almost like, whether personal earth or earth as it is, shattering operation, just intention isn't going to get you there, because we're talking about different power levels, if I may, different scales, you know? If you're trying to go over 9,000 like fucking Goku, you're going to need a little bit more of an extra push to get that intention there. You need to let the intention ride the fucking train in the downtown, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
okay. That makes a lot more sense. Because the way I think of this kind of stuff, for me, it's like, again, I don't know what the fuck. I read that one line in fucking Damien Equals Angels and Archangels, and I just fucking held on to it because he was like, you should be able to be absolute, like, ball sack in the wind, just completely naked, nothing on you, no tools, no nothing, and still be able to do magic. Otherwise, what good are you? And, like, I guess that makes sense because he had to do all his angel contacting and angel contracting on death row in solitary fucking confinement. He had absolutely nothing. There was nothing he could do. So, I think there's a point where, like, for me, tools and rituals and all these words are part of not really so much like contracting, but kind of like calibration, rather, where it's like you're trying to set not only all this other shit up in line, but you're trying to set yourself in line. And so I feel like a lot of witches make this mistake where they think that power is, and like a considerable amount of power is coming from the tools they have on the table, and it's like, no, these are more just like the little I'm thinking of fucking Pikmin right now, where you have to line up Pikmin in a row to get the electricity to go from here to here. It's like these are just helping you flow the current. They're not producing the magic. I mean, if we look at it in an animism sense, sure, they contribute some, right? Like, they contribute a little bit, they help, but they're not the source of what's going on. The source is like that divine that is flowing that miracle down through you, and you have to organize your ass in order to get that to happen. So it could be that if your willpower and your visualization and your ability to calibrate yourself is so fucking god tier that you can literally do it just chilling on your couch with nothing around, like, by all means. But a lot of people can't really get there. I found, like, I myself can kind of get there now, but that's because I'm a highly, like, imaginative person. It's very easy for me to just see what I'm trying to do and see the metaphors that I'm trying to use to get there. Yeah. Other people need to physically lay it out on a table, see it, stand in it, act it out, do the thing. So it's like...
And, you know, I agree. And I feel like that's part of the mastery process. Yeah. And, like, here I am going back to memes and internet culture. Have you seen that, like, meme where it's, like, a graph, and it's, like, it's got this, like, supposedly, like, stupid take down here, and, like, an advanced take up here, and then, like, that stupid take, but by the master over here? I feel like that's what it is. Like, intention is all you need. No, you need all these tools. No, it's really only you. And what that looks like to me is at the beginning, and this is at the beginning of someone's, like, magical career, right? It's going to be extremely important that they work on their meditation and their senses if they want to develop something like that. Their clairaudience, their clairvoyance, their sentience, these ones. And having that core toolkit inside of them to where, hey, I can tell when something's trying to connect with me. I can tell when I'm just making something up. And a lot of people skip that step. And then from there, once they have a kind of hold on their, like, core abilities and what they're comfortable with doing and still realize that they need to work on, that's when tools come into the play. And it's like, they almost act like training wheels. So it's like, this knife is going to make sure that the air element stays sturdy. This wand's going to make the wand stay, like, make the fire stay sturdy, stuff like that. But for time, you realize you don't really need those tools anymore. You can use them, but it kind of switches. And this is definitely where I'm in agreement with you, where rather than, oh, when I pick up this wand, I now have the power, it's, I have given this wand the power, right? Like that connection between like the divinity and the magician, sorcerer, witch, whatever you want to say, the self. Instead of saying, I'm following the book and now this back scratcher is a sacred back scratcher, it's instead, through my divine will as a practitioner, this is now a divine back scratcher that I may choose to use sometimes, and maybe not other times, but either way, the advanced practitioner will say, this only works because I say it does. Right. Whereas the intermediate will be like, well, I know I need this if I want it to work.
Right. No, and that's exactly it. And that's where it's like, you watch a lot of people get fucked. They're like, oh, I can't do this spell for money. I don't have a specifically green candle. And it's like, dude, do you have like a bag of flour in your house? Like, do you have anything that makes you think of stability and abundance? Anything at all? It doesn't have to.
Do you have a green crayon? A green crayon, anyone?
Green crayon, literally a quarter you found in your couch. Like, doesn't matter. But and I also feel like, especially like with how I got introduced to witchcraft, where I had like a lot of these very Wiccan heavy books, it felt so hard and inaccessible because a lot of these Wiccan books would be having like lang lang and like other herbs that like, who the fuck just has these laying around? But you can't do this spell unless you have this list of random shit that has like no functional use in your house. So it's like, no. This is just, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, maybe it should have stayed this way. Maybe we should have stayed keeping fucking boundaries and gatekeeping this shit so that people don't just start running around all willy-nilly online. But also, I feel like, to come back to the main conversation, you were talking about that meme where it's like, dumbass take advanced dumbass. That's how I feel about a lot of Christians now. Because I realize that a lot of Christians are actually right when they say something like Jesus is all you need. They just don't know why they're right. They just don't know why they're right. They don't
know how to implement that in an esoteric way.
Yeah, they just say it because they were told to say it, and it's like, but you guys don't know what that means when you say that. But okay.
Mission failed successfully.
Basically, and it's just like, all right, well, you do your thing, but okay, I don't know. I mean, like, the only thing where I have like one little caveat is like when I do my spells and I have my tools. Again, I want to respect the like animistic part. So every herb and stone has its own little spirit and its own little talent. And so like the thing about intention, people are like, oh, you can just anything can mean anything. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I can do a lot of things. I got a lot of skills, but if you try to get me to do something I'm not very good at, I can try, but it's not going to be as good as if you ask someone else who's better at it than I am. You can ask, like, you can ask a cayenne pepper to give you emotional stability, and it can try, but like it's not. It'd be better at giving you emotional volatility, if that's what you wanted. So it's like, but I see these things as like living saints. So when I do my ritual and I incorporate them, I'm asking them to basically pray with me, and all of that energy of prayer gets collected into the offering. And then in exchange, God gives down whatever I'm asking him to give down. And that's kind of how that works. It's not really like I or the tools are doing the big thing. It's God doing the big thing. I'm just here like a little lightning rod for it, kind of.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of like saying that, and especially like people will ask me a lot, what's the difference between like a magician and a witch, right? And I feel like this comes into play a lot. And I was talking about this with my boss and my team and stuff. And my whole take on it was like, I feel like the witch, especially how we see them nowadays, tends to find their power from like within, right? And then bring it outwards, right? Whereas I find like magicians, especially like, ceremonial magicians and other such, they see themselves like conduits, right? As in they're bringing things down, whether it's planets, angels, God itself, anything like that, and filtering it through them And basically, like, they still have their personal power, which kind of elevates it, but the personal power almost kind of takes a back seat. Because, like Damien Eagle said, if you use your own power, you're going to get depleted pretty quickly. But the only thing about that work, unless I'm misremembering, I don't think you really talked about how to implement that personal power. And that's where I take my left-hand path knowledge and I decide that, like, that channeled divine power meets that inner power and they almost mix, and then I have this, like, special thing.
Yeah, no, so for me, like, my favorite analogy to use is the analogy of, like, the laptop adapter, and that the soul is the adapter. So, like, if you just try to plug your laptop straight into the wall, like, your house electric circuit's too much for it, it's gonna blow the fucking battery up.
Right.
So you're basically just channeling raw divine power into something that doesn't fucking Sodom and Gomorrah everybody. And, you know, it makes God's miracles, like, less insane, so that, like, people don't freak the fuck out and think it's, like, Judgment Day. God
I love that.
stay mysterious that way.
I fucking love that. That is awesome.
It's fun. It's fun. And that also means, though, that, like, you know, when you unplug this, it does still hold power for a little while. Like, it's not a perfect analogy in that, like, the soul is also kind of the battery of the laptop. Like, it can run on its own, it can do stuff on its own, but eventually it's going to run out. Eventually you got to plug it back in.
Yeah.
It's not infinite. But, yeah.
Dr. Pepper called my name, sorry.
Okay, but what was I? Oh, yeah. So when it comes to, like, intention, like, when it comes to little shit, definitely. If, like, cantrips, easy peasy. You want to do dumb little cute little folk magic or something, like shove a penny in your shoe, cool. But, like,
want to fucking Eldritch Blast the person that just cuts you off in traffic? Fucking go for it.
Like, and that's another thing. Energy. People forget. I feel like people forget about energy work. I feel like the first thing when I was on that goof ass fucking spellsandmagic.com, and the most helpful shit I ever learned on that stupid fucking website was energy ball. Make an energy ball, and, like, thank God I found that first. Oh, hi, fat Mr. Big Man. Okay. Hold on. That little man.
Oh, yes, baby.
He's trying to attack me because he's a douchebag. But anyway, so, I was like, anyway, oh yeah, energy ball. So it's kind of like just getting a feel of your own, like, the actual energy you're using to make the spells, and it's like, that shit's like liquid gold. It can take any shape you want. It's like in Skyrim when they make the shield in front of them? Yeah, they have all this shit going on. Like, that's, like, how fucking energy work happens. So it's like, if you're trying to do all this shit with items, like, you're missing out on just, like, mastering the actual flow that you've got going on.
Right.
Which is like 90% of it.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, the energy ball thing, it's like, that is the cantrip. That is the cantrip to have. If you do not take that cantrip, you are a silly person. Like literally
level 1 skill. Like, come on.
Even in, like, grimoire magic, I still use it. Like, for a lot of, like, the Key of Solomon, for a lot of the pentacles that you craft, and I like to use little wood discs to make those. It does not have to be expensive. Like, I will say the psalms that they tell me I have to say for the thing, and maybe I'll throw in a couple others that I like. But that whole time, I am making an energy ball in my hand that is, like, then just, like, fucking Iron Man beaming into the damn thing. Yeah. All I'm saying these words, and I'm trying to learn, like, Greek or Latin, so that it'll be even cooler. We shall see. But, like, I mean, I guess one thing that always frustrates me is that there's this, like, preconceived notion that energy work and any sort of ritual work have to be, like, I don't know, maybe I'm making this up, but they have to be, like, mutually exclusive.
Yeah, which is like, what? Energy work is, like, the foundation of everything. Like, how are you not?
Yeah, and, like, when people look at, like, all the grimoires and stuff, they're like, oh, so you just have to robotically follow this to the letter. I'm like, no. Don't. Like, doing the energetic work is extremely important, because if you think you're just going to make a couple squiggles on some stuff and just jump into the ritual room not magically prepared, no meditative experience, nothing, and then you just think you're just going to channel fucking God and be fine, like,
yeah, literally,
no.
This is, like, the issue. It's like it's kind of like they get the point like they get the cause and effect backwards, I think is what happens. It's like they think that the ritual is what makes the energy, but it's like no. The ritual is just there to help you like get into your own energy. Like you're not drawing the squiggles ain't doing shit except helping you get in the zone. That's it.
Precisely.
So I don't know. I think this is part, but at the same time, I empathize because I know that when I started doing this many moons ago, it felt really fucking silly, right? It felt really goofy to be sitting there with all your shit out and do your goofy little spells and wave your wand 3 times or something. It feels fucking dumb. It does. You know, like you sit there and you look at yourself in the mirror, you catch yourself in the reflection, you're like, oh, I look like a dipshit right now. And that's what breaks the focus. It's like, no, you gotta be cringe. You gotta be free. You gotta let stuff
just to be based.
Yeah, like you just gotta go. And eventually you can just, I don't know, get over it, and then you can just like, I don't know, melt people with your fucking mind and shit, and that's great. But you gotta do all the cringe shit first.
Yeah, that's one thing that I agree, but I've never experienced. And I think it's because like I was always big in like theater growing up, and I was just naturally used to just making myself look like a dumbass in front of like hundreds of people at any given time. So then like I'll look in the fucking mirror with my like cloak and like my wand, I'm like, it looks so cool right now.
No. For me it was like I still to this day refuse to use any fucking pre-written spells at all, but especially when I was starting any pre-written spell that rhymed, I was like, that's fucking corny. I'm not doing that. That's fucking lame. If it rhymes, no. So,
fair. That's fair.
oh my god, it was just so super goofy. And like also like anything that was just like pen on paper felt goofy to me too, because I was like, you're telling me this lined paper I ripped out of a notebook is gonna be magic? Like it's just
If you consecrate it.
if you got, yeah, right, but that's the thing. It's just for basically all magic is the science of getting the fuck over yourself, and that's it. You just gotta get past all this bullshit.
Quote Sarah Stressen. Magic is just the art of getting the fuck over yourself.
Like
I love that.
honestly, I like it better than how Crowley said it, although Crowley's definition for what magic is cool and it works and it's nice.
Right.
But in the end of the day, it's just
It's not bad. I've just heard it so often that I'm like, we get it. We get it. You know what I mean?
we could say new things now. Go in new
Yes.
places. But yeah, no, I mean I don't, and honestly, like for me, I feel like so it was really for me the cliff off that helped me figure this out. Because I mean, granted it took me like a good 3 years to get through it, but like I'm not that old. I just turned 28. 3 years ago I was 25. This is still, I feel like I should not have the gravity of someone 20 years older than I was 3 years ago.
Mhm.
But after the clip off, I'm just kind of like, anyway, I do feel like I can just do shit. I can just manifest shit today, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't realize that I'm doing that. And it's fucking weird because before it had to be like a whole thing, it had to be a whole setup, it had to be a whole. And now I'm like,
Bang.
so it's fucking creepy. But a lot of people don't realize that like to get to that point requires like, and this is where I understand now. At first I used to be like, ceremonial magicians, they're so stuffy and they're so annoying and now I'm like, no, they got a point. You do all that shit so that when you do your 10% goofy fun, it's fucking easy.
Yep.
It feels like child's play compared to all the other bullshit that you've been doing. Well, no, because like Damien Eagle's like, oh yeah, a magician should be doing 90% of the work to make themselves better, and I was like, how fucking lame! What a fucking loser! And now I'm like, no,
Might have had a point.
you did have a point. So,
Yeah. And like, there's another ceremonial misconception that we do that whole setup thing every time we want to do magic. Like, homie, no. Homie, no.
at that
Like,
point, it's too much. It's yeah. I mean,
it's too much. Like, we got cantrips.
well,
You know?
because I feel like it's like to me it's like the process, that big long fucking giant setup is like doing math proofs. You know what I mean? Where you have to write out all that bullshit. And eventually, when you know the proof, you can just write down the tiny little equation. Like,
exactly.
The setup is having to understand how the fuck all this works so that you can simplify it down to that little tiny thing.
Yeah, it's like, and depending on who you ask, and depending on the experience, I mean, doing the full-fledged like ritual, like let's take Galatia for example, with the whole triangle and the circle and the candles and the blah and the blah and the blah. Like that's only meant for like the first, maybe the second time that you conjure a spirit for the first time from that book or from a similar catalog. You know, because then the idea is that you have made a connection with the spirit. You've done, as Skinner put it, like you've done the interview between you and them to see if this will work. You get their personal phone number, right, with their personal business card, and you write that in the very important Liber Spiritum, the Book of Spirits, right? And which has to be consecrated, because basically, so at one point, you can just open the book and charge, and it's like, hey, spirit, how you doing? You know, like first, if you're connecting with like someone of like, let's say, just high regard, like let's say, I don't know, Mr. Important Man of some big company thing, right? If they don't know who the hell you are, you're like, Mr. Important Man, I am blah blah blah, do the hibah, right? And you make the connection. You talk 3 or 4 times. Hey, Bizno Man, how you doing? You know, it's like it's a progression.
Like any other normal relationship, which is like,
right.
I don't know. Again, and it's like you can skip that. I know that when I was starting to play with demons, I sure as fuck wasn't getting no piece of metal or no circle, no fucking nothing, candles and all this bullshit. I was like, again, with Belial, I was like, I got a potato. And I heard you got to do with earth, so here you go. And fuck me, it worked. I was like,
and that's I will give the ceremonial magicians flack for it, because, and not all of them, but like enough of them to where it's become a trope, where especially like the ones on like off the record, especially the ones on like fucking Reddit and other shit. Back on. There's like where they say, no, you have to conjure them this way first. It's like, okay, if we're working in that tradition, but you got to contact Belial using a potato, right? And what am I going to sit here and say that's fucking wrong? No, you didn't. Like, no, you did it.
Well, and I mean, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people who are going to pull that because they think like because they don't. I feel like people think that way because they don't understand how the actual mechanism works.
Correct.
That's the problem. It's like they're too focused on. It's like when you're learning a language and you only learn phrases, but you don't know how the grammar in the phrase works. And it's like, you can't do anything else if you don't know how to break that down.
Right. And again, it also comes back down to like the intention of, okay, how are we connecting with the spirit? Because that whole setup, that whole Ars Goetia setup is for the physical manifestation. Not everyone's going to need the physical manifestation. Not everyone's going to want the physical manifestation. Some people may find that completely useless. Right? I mean,
the whole fucking King Payment and his whole camel just in your living room, and you're like, where am I going to put this fucking camel now?
He is somehow getting sand all over the ceremonial carpet.
Fuck.
Like there's a couple like demons I've connected with from these traditions, from these books, being kind of, I guess, loosely a part of the tradition, and have never done it that way because it just doesn't feel like it. And it's so weird because I never conjured King Asmodeus the traditional way. It might have reason to be that I started with the left-hand path and did left-hand path methods. But it was funny because it was the demons, it was Lucifer and Asmodeus and others who said, hey, you need to go work with the angels and you need to learn the Solomonic method. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And it was Asmodeus himself. It's like, okay, now you're gonna do it, but you're gonna bind me. Like you're gonna do the whole binding process. I'm like, excuse me?
Don't tell TikTok, don't tell WitchTok this. WitchTok gonna shit their pants and say you're being mean and bad.
Well, they maybe should actually read the book, and then we can have the discussion.
They're big. I personally, like, to me, like, it sounds rude to, like, try and trap a fucking demon in a little brass bubble. Like, I don't do that because I'd be like, I'd be really pissed if someone did that to me. I wouldn't appreciate that. So I'm not going to do it to them. If they
Right.
asked me to, I'd be like, kinky, but all right. Sure. Like,
And it's King of the dance we're talking
I
about.
mean, yeah. So it's just kind of like, all right, boss, if that's what you want to do, I don't know. Like,
And that's the weird part about it is like at first I was also in that camp of like, oh, this is kind of disrespectful to the spirits. Like this is modern times. We don't need to do this anymore. But we are in such a beautiful time where so many grimoires and so many magical texts are being translated for like the first time, like English. And we are learning more and more that kind of what I was mentioning earlier. The demons know what this is about. Like, dare I say, they've even they consent to the whole thing because there's that hierarchy aspect. It's a production, and I talk about this in my upcoming book. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that yet. Oh, it doesn't matter. But they know what this is about because of that hierarchy structure. The grimoire magician has to purify the space, and then they call upon God, and then they call upon the commanding angels, and then maybe the planetary angels, and the angel of the wind. They do all this, angel, 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 and they get to the trifecta, the demonic trifecta of Lucifer, Beelzebub, Satan, or Astaroth, depending on your system. And then you go to the four kings, right? And then after that, then you get to the demon. And basically, you're going through the chain of command. The angels are in on it. The demons are in on it. And the reason everyone's in on it is because the books, which, let's be honest, these are holy sacred books because they have the system written on them. They are the sacred texts. Like, they are the tradition as they exist. And therefore, working in that tradition, they do need some reverence and some respect. It's written down that everyone is doing this in the agreement and concordance. So this is all under the supervision and authority of God the Most High, right? And if anyone does not do their part, and this does not mean they can't substitute, but anyways, if you don't come prepared, and that's for any party, you're fucking up, right? Because it's in like this, it's a production. Right? If the magician uses the curses and the bindings and other, like, not the bindings as in come here, the bindings as in fuck you, if they use those willy-nilly, God can punish them. You can find that in the Summa Sakura Magic King. If the demon doesn't show up, they are also, like the magician in the previous example, breaking contract.
This is sounding like when I worked a 9 to 5, and it's like every time some shit happened, like the fucking CEO was getting CC'd, and she was like the omnipotent who just like knew everything and would jump in. Like she would just jump in sometimes. Yeah. Most times she wouldn't, but sometimes she would, and you were like, oh fuck. So it's just like, all right, like God forbid, someone fucks up one thing, the whole email chain is just like, well, all right.
Yeah, and like the thing is, it's not even the fact of like messing up anything. It's just a matter of just show up, right? Just show up, do the thing that are most necessary, and then you can leave. With the demon.
I'm imagining The Office, but it's just like Michael is Jim, and no, Michael is Dwight, and like Jim is like Lucifer. Honestly.
I mean, it kinda, because like even within the Four Kings conjuration, which is not in the Goetia, even though it should be, because the writers of the Goetia just assumed you'd know it. They literally say, "Hey, demon of like Paimon. Paimon is one of the directional kings. Like yeah. Paimon, this demon that is under your supervision, bring him here. And if he won't come, we're gonna make him come here. And if he won't come, then you're gonna come and do the thing I want you to do."
Oh my god, no! This is ridiculous, because now, see, the more I hear about it, the more I'm just like, this is just fucking, like, bureaucracy. This is just fucking, like... Like, well, it's like when you work at Wendy's and, like, someone doesn't show up, so the manager has to fill the fucking cashier role for the night. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Belphegor called in sick, so Paimon, I need you here.
Paimon at the front, like, fuck.
Like, dude, I worked a double shift yesterday. It is very bureaucracy coded. It is very hierarchy coded, and it's mostly because a lot of the grimoires, like especially the early ones, are very heavily based on Byzantine exorcism. And you can kind of see some extremely similar structure. And I forgot his first name, but he was an Italian priest, um, like Giovanni Mengi, or something like that, and he wrote a exorcism manual, which I've got my thing right here, Mengi Exorcist. And if you, oh yeah, the Devil's Scourge, which Red Will Weiser released in like not 1609. That's when he died. um, the Devil's Scourge is a book that's out there that talks about Girolamo Mengi's exorcism process. And if you look at that book compared to like, I don't know, like the Key of Solomon, pretty similar fucking things going on there. That exorcist, like what that system calls on the names of God, calls on the angels, calls Lucifer and the demons to say, hey, come get your boy, right? Like, and we see these things echoed throughout the other magical texts that we see too. So yeah, that's the reason it feels like an episode of The Office. Like it feels like a 9 to 5 pinged email thread, like you said, which is a very good explanation for it. It's because it's all rooted in sort of that like kind of church-like authority and being able to wield that authority, and that because most of the time the ones who had these texts were like people who knew how to get access to those because they either were a priest or they knew a priest or something else like that, and it was very Christo coded.
Which is so, I mean, like, weird, because, like, and this was one of my questions today for Sabnuk. I was like, why do y'all, like, entertain our bullshit? Like, what is the point of working with humans? And he was just like, it's the integrity. It's the integrity of the knowledge. It's the integrity. And I'm like, not what I fucking expected a demon to say, but all right. So, like, it's, I don't know. And that was like one of the first things when I started spelunking in hell just to, like, find out what was going on. First of all, I had to have Michael with me. I had to be chaperoned because God knew I was an idiot. And so I was asking Lucifer Joe, I was like, what's with all this fucking, like, hierarchy? Like, all the emperor, king, this and that. And he goes, it's just the way it is. It's the way it works. And Michael was like,
yeah,
okay. All right, weird. You wouldn't, like, again, I don't know. People see demons as these, like, rabble rousers with no law, and, like, surely, like, yeah, Belial, the lawless one, and yet at the same time, they have their own law. They have their own code, and it's just like, well, alright.
Yeah, and it's really cool when you really look at it. And I think that's where the intersection splits between, like, the traditional ceremonial method and, like, what we see in Left Hand Path, because in this Left Hand Path thing, people are in the process. I want to make that very clear. People are in the process of finding out what that demonic structure is, because it's so unknown. Because I would argue there hasn't really been a comfort to talk to the demonic on only the demonic's terms until very contemporary times. Because, well, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, maybe, what am I trying to say? Maybe it's like just there was just like an attitude shift. There was like a mentality shift at some point. Maybe I don't know exactly when it was. Maybe Crowley did it. Maybe GD did it. I don't know. No, not GD. Maybe Crowley did it. Maybe the 60s or 70s did it. I don't know.
I want to say, I mean, granted, I did, it was just that fuck-ass book I read, but that stupid Pagan Threat book, it did cite some legitimate material about, like, Blavatsky and stuff, and I could see very clearly that at some point,
Blavatsky.
like, don't get me wrong, like, this is what I'm, like, I'm looking at this asshole who wrote this book, and I'm like, I hate that he's not wrong about everything, because there's some stuff I agree with him on, and that is that People got sick of the church being just up their ass that they went and swung the other way on the pendulum and started just retconning a bunch of shit and deciding that Satan was actually really good and really cool all along. And it's like, guys, you're doing the same shit as the Christians, just like in reverse. It's still not balanced. Exactly. It's still not nuanced. It's still fucking... You can't just rewrite the Bible to be like woman friendly. What?
Precisely, yeah. And yeah, I think it was like... Here's my hot take about it. I feel like the left-hand path, and I've kind of seen some like change in this recently with like a lot of LHPers, at least on the TikTok scene, being like, yeah, I started reading the Bible and looking at other aspects. But I feel like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too, where they wanted a counterculture to the Christian structure that is just like so heavily embedded in the Western world. Good luck ever like actually getting rid of it for the foreseeable future. But they wanted to depart from that while also keeping elements and maybe basically cherry pick. I think what could get them farther is seeing what God might be as an ally to LHP rather than being an enemy to LHP, because let's be honest, Left Hand Path is working within a Christian framework, whether they like to admit it or not. And so with that, you might as well just go balls to the walls and say, that's what we're doing, here we are, and think, okay, well, since that's inescapable, how can we look at God through this lens and have that? And no one wants to do that. I don't know why. I'm doing that in my spare time, and I'll share things when I have things I want to share, but it's a soft spot because there's a lot of, I think it's fair to say, there's a lot of trauma behind all of it. And however, I don't know, I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or anything, but I feel like taking on something like that head on and saying that there it is, let's discuss it, is a lot more LHP than saying, oh, well, I'm going to go over here and do my not God things that are totally God things.
No, yeah, and that's where, like, and so as we've been talking about this whole thing with intention, like, I'm kind of, my new thesis is that this focus on intention, it is rooted in this very, like, immature individualism, I think. It's rooted in this kind of like, well, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to inspect myself. I don't want to feel inadequate. I don't want to... So I'm just going to say that everything I do just as it is fine, and it's perfect, and it's good. And it's like, you don't really grow like that, though.
Right.
You have to be... Especially, like, as a Christian, approaching demons at all was a massive growth spurt. First of all. Second of all, demons don't give a fuck about how you feel. Demons don't fucking care. They're just like, okay, do you want to be a loser forever or what? Like, I decide, I don't care. So, these people, they want to be like, nope, it's all just my intention, and it's all love and light, and as long as I'm being nice and good, and it's like, you're gonna be one of them witches to Christian real fucking fast, first of all. Second of all, you're also not learning how to do magic. You are playing in a sandbox. You're not really getting anything done. And it's like, again, I still think that at this, we're doing this stupid take again, but like, yes, it is all entirely just your own willpower, but you have to understand how the fuck the willpower works first, and you have to do all this shit first to learn that.
Precisely. And like, we can even look at that from a non-ceremonial point of view, because I know we've mostly been talking about ceremonial magic and grimoire magic because, well, I mean, at least that's where my interests lay. But even when you're looking at like ancient practices, especially the ones that are being reconstructed, or any other sort of pagan ritual or theology, they had their tools too, right? That were symbolic in doing these things, and sometimes these things were literal. But the whole point was, once again, such an importance on venerating and giving like love and respect to whatever they were calling on, and saying, Spirit, bring down your essence into this thing to help us. Right. And we don't really do that anymore because of I think the word you said was individualism, and that's very much the case because, and I maybe this started with like the rise of like the Industrial Revolution and stuff, where everything just got so faster. Like, do it faster. Who gives a shit? Just do it for you. Do the thing. I can't, like, I don't want to be a whole capitalism, but yeah, the whole capitalism thing happened of like, how can I make the best thing ever that's just me? Because I'm the fucking best, you know? And like, that has now infected religion and spirituality and esotericism. And we also get that take of like, oh, as you wonderfully put, this idea of like, well, everything I do is perfect, so I'm just going to do that. We even see that sort of non-healed trauma. Someone grew up in a problematic church thing because like, let's all get up and pray now. And like that praying is all you had to do. Just like saying some words that may not have even been a verse, a sacred verse. It's just like, God, please help me. I'm doing this thing. Please help me. Thanks. Bye. Right. And that's one thing that's always kind of personally bothered me about at least the modern structure, is that at least like say a few psalms and have like an official ending and beginning. I don't know if people are going to get mad at me about this, but it's like, hey, let's pray. Hey, God, thanks, welcome, thanks for the food. That I'm like, that's so sloppy.
It's sloppy. Yeah, this is where like my liturgical ass is just like, no, fuck out of here with that. No.
Never been a fan.
When I see your church service running longer than 45 minutes, pack it the fuck up. Let's go. Tighten it up. Like, you know, so it's like, no. But no, and that's the problem. It's like, it's unfocused, it's untraditioned, it's lazy, and like it's lazy. It's lazy. It's trying to make shortcuts. Yep. It's not doing the work. It's like the equivalent of motherfuckers using ChatGPT to get through their assignments and learn nothing. It's like, you asshole, you're not going through the steps. You're not learning the procedure. Like, I don't know. That kind of shit pisses me off really bad because it's like, and especially. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't know if I can call myself a witch anymore. I really don't, because I feel like the shit that I do has crossed from, like, to me, witchcraft is still very much like a magic of the folk, a magic of the dispossessed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's the magic of people who are just trying with what they got, and they need what they need right now. My magic no longer really has anything to fucking do with my material reality. My magic is entirely out of this realm, and, like, if I get some extra money, cool. But, like, it's just so not in my zeitgeist or whatever that it's just like, I guess I'm a magician now. I don't know.
Right. And that's why I've got like mad respect for like folk practitioners and cunning folk, like definitely. Because like on the surface, it looks like they're just taking a bit of this, taking a bit of that and putting it in their little journal. But no, they're following their structure. And what they've been able to do is like take outside elements and make it like rework it to where it fits in the structure that is a very real thing and is probably more hidden in plain sight than any other system out there. So like I want to just clear the air and make sure that by saying all these things about the ceremonial magic and ancient practices, like folk practitioners, cunning folk, I see you, we see you. And like you got like, that's the thing that separates even like folk practitioners and stuff from the intention is everything type crowd, right? Because folk practitioners still have that tradition. In fact, a lot of those traditions are what made ceremonial magic the thing that it is.
Right. And that's the thing is like, well, first of all, I mean, it's a cloak, it's a veil on the native traditions of wherever, like whether it's like syncretic faiths like hoodoo and voodoo or like Santeria or like anything else, or whether it's like Italian folk magic. Like, these are cloaks on native practices and old, like, ancient traditions, but also, just like with, like, the Goetia, a lot of folk magic is very relational. It's about the saints and God and, like, any other deities that are kind of hiding behind the names of saints for the time being. You're not just doing shit by yourself. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of, like, when I say, like, I can't call myself a witch anymore, I really do think not only in like the traditional witch sense of like, again, people who are just trying to like do their folk charms and stuff, because I'm just not doing that much anymore, but also like not in the modern sense of witch, because the modern sense of witch has become so commercialized and watered down that like I'm not really sure what I'm looking at when people are like, I'm a witch, and it's just like them holding a fucking amethyst. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Do you know? What is it for? Like,
right. And that then brings in another thing about where chaos magic stands. Because I run into all the time. Yeah, see, okay, you know exactly what I'm about to say. I run into this thing all the time. You say, I'm a chaos witch, right?
Like,
I'm like, okay, tell me about that. What's your process? And I'm like, oh, well, I'll do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I just and that I'm not going to sit here and say that's a bad practice. That's wrong, right? If that's how you roll, cool. But that's not chaos magic.
yeah, that's eclectic. That's like,
That's eclecticism,
which is fine,
right?
but like,
Which is fine. It's just know what you are.
yeah.
And I don't know what your definition of it is. I've kind of found a definition for chaos magic that I like to use, which is influenced by like Peter J. Carroll and Osmond Spare. I always get his name messed up. But and let me know what you think of this. Let me know if I'm cuckoo bananas or if I have something here. I always have said that chaos magic is the personalized, customized practice that is created from the understanding and mastery of multiple sources. So basically, the prerequisites for being a chaos practitioner, in my view, is that you at least need a solid understanding and like ability to work and even venerate any type of system that you plan to implement and make a structure for it based on your understanding, right? Make a new sort of structure or make a flexible type of structure based on that which you have basically held understanding and implementation of. So like if someone's going to do a spell of like, oh, hey, let's do the spell, and we're going to put Odin in there with Kali and Jesus, it's like, what are you doing? But it's like, oh, well, I'm using this because this means that, and then these two abilities kind of correlate with this other thing. I'm probably losing you here because I'm not being specific, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say.
I kind of get. Well, for me, it's like I feel like this can kind of be summed up like from a writer perspective, right? There's that cute little writer quote where it's like you have to know the rules before you can break them.
Yes.
So like to me, chaos magic is like you are like as you say, you're understanding how it works so that you can break it basically, so that you can kind of
Yes.
smash the box in the first place and then play with the pieces. Which is volatile and really fucking difficult, in my opinion, to not like get your shit rocked. That's like just trying to catch a fucking star in a bottle. Like, have fun. But it can work. I mean, again, it's kind of like, you know, like those memes where on TikTok where it's like, you know, moving one picture in Word and like the whole room's fucked up. That's what it feels like can happen really easily in Chaos Magic.
Okay.
It's like you do one thing stupid and you better hit Control Z, bitch. I don't know. Like,
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm also a big like believer in chaos magic being an implementation of breaking the rules once you know them. And I think, and I'm gonna get heat for this. I think a great example of that is the Simon Necronomicon. I really do, because you have like there are people gonna hard disagree with me there, but you have a altered yet more or less kind of basic Sumerian creation myth in there, right? With 50 names of Marduk, which are more or less accurate. You have a basic structure, a solidified structure of the grimoire ceremonial tradition, and then you have the horror-based psychology writing of Lovecraft, right?
yeah,
And you put it all together, and you have a book that people have been able to successfully use for like 40, 50 years now.
right. And like the effects of it, the more people use it, the stronger the effects of it get. This is why the Bible's so fucking powerful. Despite, you know, aside from the claims of it being the infallible, inerrant word of God, which I personally don't think it is infallible or inerrant, but thousands of years of people's faith, trust, and reverence of that fucking text have made that thing like basically spiritual uranium. Like that shit's insane. You there's no getting around that. But well, where I was thinking of something. Oh yeah, but for me, it's like chaos magic is also. It's kind of also just something anyone can do if you grasp the concept of meta. Like, if you can
Right.
get the fucking meta of what you're doing, it's like, yeah, I sure can go fucking invoke these egregores from, like, Legend of Zelda. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I talked to Nairu from Legend of Zelda, and she is simply our own kind of. It's like when you put like something in Google Translate and then you translate it back and forth a few times, and you get something kind of fucked up after. But it's the same shit. It's the same concept in a different format.
Right. Like why can't I substitute the 4 demonic kings for the chaos demons from Warhammer? Like, why not?
Literally, and that's why when people are like, "Oh my god," and this is another problem, right? With at one point, I'm turning into Agrippa every fucking day. I'm turning into.
Facts, dude. Oh my god.
Every fucking day I turn more into Agrippa when he just starts taking shots at everybody. Because, like, fucking witch talk, they want to be like, intention's everything, but in the same breath they want to ridicule people for working with dinosaurs? Bitch,
I know.
go fucking work with does it work? Bitch, did it work?
It's like intention's everything, but don't dress your candle that way.
Yeah, right? Like, bitch, I'm gonna wipe my ass with my candle and it's still gonna work. It's gonna be stinky, but it's gonna work. I don't know. Though, in the whole, like, and at the same time, this is why I'm also really, really grateful that my fiance is like a raging atheist. Because when I get too stuck in my thinking of like, of course that wouldn't work, that's ridiculous. My fiance's like, are you stupid? None of it fucking works because none of it's real. And I'm like, fuck, you got me. It's like if you're gonna believe it, you might as well believe in all of it. The potential for all of it is wide open. I don't know, work with the essence of cotton candy, bitch. Do whatever you want.
Because it doesn't work, it all works. So this will work.
I just want to jam this pencil into my eye, just like hearing that, because like, yeah. Like,
yeah.
And I think this is where people forget that, like, your witchcraft and all your fucking, like, kumbaya spiritual shit, shut the fuck up. Magic is a science. This is science. We are all fucking trying not to explode ourselves in our basement. That's what's happening.
Yes, because just because it all can work doesn't mean it can all work well.
And you know what? I don't know, maybe some people like the jankiness of their fucked up system that they homebrewed at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
But, like, I just feel like, it's so weird. Again, it's like, yes, intention is everything, but you have to, like, do the proof of concept first to understand why intention is everything. And then also, you gotta understand that it's not just about you. It's not just you by yourself against the entire world. You have to call your buddies sometime. And your buddies have shit that they like to do. And so you gotta work with that too.
And I think that's not only something that's humbling to remember, that's not just you, but I think that can also be a fantastic tool for anyone that has doubts or is uncertain about it. Because I think it's safe to say that everyone, no matter how like experienced, there's going to be some doubt here and there. Like, hey, is this working? You know what's going on, right? I get it more often than I'd like to admit. But by remembering that, hey, this isn't just me. Like, I'm not just flailing in my apartment. Like, I'm doing something beautiful and sacred right now with things that I will never fully understand because they're bigger than I'll ever feasibly be in this incarnation. It can bring kind of like reassurance and solace and like hope sometimes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I invite people to remember that, not only from a humbling point of view, but from a hopeful point of view. That it's not just you in there.
Right. No, absolutely, 100%. And this is where, like, actually earlier I was thinking, like, I'm not gonna lie. This is where Christian witches, or Christians in general, they do have an advantage. Because their entire structure, their paradigm is based on relationship. It's based on collectivism and, like, not putting yourself in the forefront. You understand your role as like a part of a body, the body that is the church. So it's like there is no concept of like, oh, it's all what I want, and it's like, no, you from day one you got to plug into like that greater will, and you have to understand like what the fuck is your job in it. It's not just, I want a boyfriend, I want this, it's like, nope. You have to do all the hard shit. Michael has to beat the fuck out of you when you are not ready for it. And enjoy. Like, so, I don't know. I think people gotta remember that, like, that it doesn't take away your agency either. It's not just about, like, demoralizing. It's also, like, it doesn't make you less you. It doesn't take away your agency to learn to work in a group, to learn to collaborate.
Like, I feel like there's this, like, unspoken fear that, like, if you can't do it all yourself or with your own energy, like, you're weak, or, like, you're not a good enough practitioner, or that, like, there's, like, this, like, weird, like, dick measuring thing that happens, like, on, like, oh, it happens in everything, let's be honest. That's just the human way, I guess. But especially in, like, these spiritual spaces of just, oh, I'm better than you because my god can beat up your god, and that's not at all what it's about. And there's this thing of, like, I am so powerful, when, like, sweetheart, no. That's not what any of this is about.
Anyway,
Fair.
I think that wraps up my understand. Like, I've come away with a completely different understanding of intention, because, like, I thought, I'm not glad. I thought we were gonna have a little, like, debate where I was arguing for and you were arguing against, but then we ended up saying the same shit.
Yeah.
Turns out we just get it.
Yeah, honestly, and that's the interesting. I wasn't expecting to, like, debate at all coming in here, because I'm like, I think Sarah and I are on the same page. I don't.
Yeah, no, see, because I was thinking, like, oh, I'm, like, pro intention, and he's, like, anti, and then I'm like, no, I'm actually not. So,
yeah. Hey, yeah.
Turns out, nuance is impossible to get away from. So there is no such thing as 100% for or against.
We went in with two things, and we are leaving with a secret, different third thing.
Secret third thing, which is, like, is intention everything?
I don't know, but check out this cool shit.
It's just, they just fucking skateboard away. Ollies into the night.
With the fucking skateboard thing. Doing a boo.
Oh, you get so high and so up in the magic that it just stops being that serious, and you're like, does it?
So, yeah.
Is intention everything? I don't know. Did it work when you tried?
That's all that matters, really.
The end. So, I mean, hey, shit. There's that idea. But okay. I am going to officially end this recording now. The chat will not end, but the recording will end. So thank you, Lucas. I appreciate your chats. This was great. This was good stuff.
Nice.
And I'm going to post this on YouTube so everyone could see you standing 10 toes down on it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be some good stuff. And with that said,